thank you for coming for this special edition. Big thank you to Busola and Modupe for joining us today in Lagos. Essentially, you guys have come home, so welcome home.
Thank you.
It's a special edition of Newsroom because this week essentially signifies the transition of Moneda from a financing business, which we've been for the past 10 years, to something very different, essentially a financial infrastructure business, and that's why I think this conversation is very important. So very happy to have you guys. We're just going to have an open conversation about where you're coming from, what this partnership, what it means to you guys. I mean, I know what it means to me, but I'm very interested in knowing what it means to you. And then we'd love to have a view of what we think the future is going to look like. So if I may, I'll start with you, Busola. Now, your background is core technology, back-end technology. Those people that no one ever sees, but are the ones behind a lot of the things that we all experience. How has it been for you transitioning from a back-end engineer to a co-founder and someone on the verge of making a lot of money at the same time?
It was not such a hard transition, I would say, because I met Modupe through my MBA. So I knew it was going to be either starting a business or going back to being an engineer. And there was a reason I went for my MBA in the first place. So it was an easy yes for me when I was introduced to Modupe and someone said there was a young lady looking for a co-founder, a technical co-founder. So I had the conversation with her, and the problem she explained to me was something I also experienced. So it was easy for me to say I wanted to be a part of that. I wouldn't say it's been easy, but it's been fun. It's been a good 2 years of helping build out this vision of meCash. We started out saying we wanted to build the infrastructure for payments for SMEs in Nigeria. We're still doing that, but we're doing it for Africa. So it's good, and this partnership for me signals that we're doing the right thing, and we're doing it at the right time. Yeah.
Good. So, I mean, for you, Modupe, I would imagine it's a similar story. But why do you think this partnership makes sense from a meCash standpoint, knowing what Moneda is? Moneda is not your typical investor in startups. I think what we do is more financing. So we're more likely to give you a loan, than to actually invest in a partnership. Why do you think this makes sense for meCash?
We have VCs that have invested in us, but what I've found with VCs is they're not operators. And for me, Moneda is at the center of financial services. So it feels like almost the same way that if this was an investment from a tier 1 or tier 2 bank. What you guys bring is our vision is very international in the way we're thinking about where we operate. And we're very focused on SMEs. You're bringing in both. SMEs, you're already lend to them. Lending is an extremely difficult thing to do in a profitable manner. And you guys have managed to find your niche around that. We have 1 or 2 customers that are in lending. We've seen them pivot. So I know the concept of lending is very difficult, and you guys have fixed that. You have something that makes lending work in a very profitable way. So that's one. And you're targeting the same customers we're targeting, SMEs. So you're bringing the specialty and your expertise around how to work with SMEs, how to make money from SMEs, and how to create value for SMEs. And then for me, the most important thing is your Pan-African vision. Payment will never happen if you do not have an international rail. And your first international rail must always be your neighbors. Before you fly 6,000 miles to do a payment in New York, why do we not have 15 seconds payment in Ghana, in Namibia, in Botswana? So that's what makes this partnership very interesting for us, and why I think sets you out from a typical VC.
Okay, what next? So we announced this partnership to the world, and we step forward and start building the technology that we need. What should the world expect to see?
So we expect to finish technical integration with Moneda this year. So we're releasing our full suite of API. So their core financial infrastructure products will be completely on SYN to Moneda's customers, which is perfect for us. We become the engine behind your expansion strategy, for example, behind Moneda funding different business verticals and supporting SMEs in a Pan-African manner. We're very excited about that, and that's something that we need to get done this year. The next step is to replicate what we're doing in Nigeria this year into at least 2 more markets next year.
Excellent. So which markets are we excited about for this year?
Nigeria is our first market. It's a core market for both of us. So let's stitch that together. Let's finish the integration. Next year, we should be looking at Botswana, Namibia, and South Africa.
Okay.
That would deliver already ROI for both of us, whether it's your investments, whether it's the effort we've put into doing all of this. And then for us, it sets us very clearly on the path to find 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 Monedas in the African continent so that we can deliver value to our equity investors.
Well, we see ourselves as very unique. So I'm not sure you find, good luck finding six Monedas, but
the infrastructure will be there for anyone to use.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes, and I think that's something that we're also very excited about. Infrastructure is a different type of business. It's one thing to work hard and do transactions and make money. It's another thing to build infrastructure that other people can then ride on. Okay. I think that's something that we're excited about being part of, transitioning into an enabler. For different financial transactions. Just to make things very simple, guys. Because me, I'm just an African banker, right? I understand putting money in my bank account, sending a document to the bank, please debit my account and transfer to X account. What exactly does meCash offer that is fundamentally different from that?
I would say it's the technology we're leveraging. So we're not using the traditional banking rails. We're using blockchain. Yeah.
Okay.
So it means within seconds you could deliver money from Nigeria to any country in Africa or anywhere in the world, in fact, because you would ride on stable coins. Yeah. So you would go from Nigeria in Naira, go to a stable coin, and then from stable coin you could deposit money in the US, in Germany, in Namibia, if you want, in South Africa, and it doesn't need to touch any banking rail. So I think that's very important. There are other benefits to the blockchain rail that we've not even exploited at the moment. It's fast, it's cheap, it's secure, as you all know.
So for our customers that are watching, you said it's fast.
Yes.
So it's faster.
It is definitely faster.
How much faster?
Nigeria to Ghana on traditional banks in Nigeria is 5 days. So we are unable to process any payments in 5 days. We can do it in 15 minutes.
5 days to 15 minutes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to hold you to this.
Oh, yes.
5 days to 15. Everybody is hearing now.
Yes.
5 days transfer. All right. Musa, meCash, deliver that in 15 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, what else? It's cheaper.
It's cheaper.
So typically, how much is it to do these transfers to your bank?
Typically, it takes about, the World Bank estimates about 16 to 18% on a single transaction to do cross-border payments within Africa. So we don't charge the customer more than 2% of total transaction. So
there's a wide margin there.
That's a huge discount. The difference is very much. I'm not sure it costs us up to 15% to do transfers, but I'm sure it is quite expensive. So faster, cheaper. What about reliability? Because a lot of people will be scared that you debit my money and it vanishes and you say it's now a coin. What are you trying to say? You take my money, turn it into a coin, and then I can't find you.
Well, that's not what we're saying. So the process is still unseen to the customer. It would work as a normal transfer would work. What we're doing in the back is doing the exchange. The customer doesn't need to be aware what rail we're using. I think what they care about really is, did you deliver my money? And we will deliver the money. And
okay,
we'll deliver faster.
So how many times have you tried this, and it's worked? And has it ever not worked?
So everything always starts with a fiat, which is a traditional banking rail, and it ends with a traditional banking rail. So certain reasons why it will not work is the settlement bank account of the receiver is incorrect. Okay. So the entire process works, but you're about to settle into a traditional bank account. And the information provided doesn't work.
So you put the wrong account. Anybody can.
Yes.
Anybody can.
So, but nothing happens because the money doesn't get lost. It just comes back and say failed, details incorrect.
So there's never been a case where someone's money vanished.
No. You can literally type anybody's digital asset address onto many websites today and see the amount of money that is flowing through it. That's the level of transparency that blockchain provides you.
What about cybersecurity? Everyone in Nigeria, you turn on the TV and you see stories of someone's account being wiped out. How do we ensure that doesn't happen?
So we're like other fintechs. Nigeria is a very hard place to do business. Yeah, you always have to be 10 steps ahead of the average Nigerian when it comes to security. So we're exposed to the same risks as you would find with a Flutterwave or any other financial institution. We take security very seriously, both from the customer, just holding the customer's money to just the transit of the money as well. Security is not the responsibility of the customer once we have their funds. So from the point where they deposit the money on our platform, we ensure that we transmit it in a way that is as secure as possible. The customer doesn't need to be aware that the coins are held anywhere or hold like a private key, and then they're fearful of the loss of that key. We would manage that as well. Again, unseen to the customer. So that part is also what we bring from the technology standpoint.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't think the cybersecurity risk is any more incremental that you would have with traditional rails today. But I think what is important...
You mean with local banks?
With local banks, yes. It's the same way a traditional bank would have cybersecurity risk is exactly the same way a startup or a fintech will have security risk. I think what is important is there are set rules and regulations and there are best practices in the way you safeguard, things like two-factor authenticator, things like monitoring your flow of traffic, of money in and out, putting restrictions on those things. And Busola's got the background, having worked for big tech companies, we understand some of the best practices that is required in terms of building a fully secure platform. And we continue to put in those tools. We do see some unique issues in Africa, specifically Nigeria, in terms of cybersecurity risk. And we're very mindful of that. But regulation also helps. Most of the African regulations are pretty tight on cybersecurity, and there are things you need to do. You need to safeguard customer funds. You need to make sure they can withdraw. You need to make sure, there's certain things they already have in place. Being regulatory compliant helps, because it means our starting point is we take the regulation and say, what are the cybersecurity measures we need to put in place because it is required by regulation. And then the second piece is around best practices.
So, I'm sure you guys have some questions maybe for me, right? Yes. But I was wondering, you've come out of, what I hear is an excellent career at American Express, right? And you've come out, of an equally, impressive career at PayPal, as well as other banks abroad. Yeah. What would have possessed you guys to quit your jobs where you are collecting dollars, right? And enter this world of startup hustling? Who's going to go first?
Okay, you can take this one.
I'll take this one. I ask myself a question every day. 2 years in, you lose all your share options and your lovely, amazing salary and all your holidays. The problem matters. Solving international payments is one of the biggest problems that is holding back the continent in terms of development. So the problem is big enough and it matters. And the question is always, it needs to be solved, and why not us? There's nothing stopping any of us. Over 10 years experience building technology products in financial services, 17 odd years experience in big tech and financial services. We have the right skills to do this. What we need is audacity.
And we have plenty.
And plenty of audacity to do this. And I don't personally believe that it's one person that's going to solve this. I think there's going to be an array of solutions around solving for international payments or simplifying international payment for the continent. But I think we're a strong contender, and we feel very positive and very able and capable to contribute a bit to this.
Do you have moments of doubt as well?
Luckily, I've got a good support system. There are times where I've wanted to go back, but I'm reminded that it's a problem worth solving, and we've started already. I think it's something we can do really well. Okay, I like the optimism and the audacity. We like that very much here at Moneda, and the problems that we're solving, I think, are very connected. But you see, payments without credit doesn't make any sense. And the problem we have on our continent is not so much payments as the capital to pay, right? And without the right quantity of capital to actually pay and for the right goods and services, the payment in itself means nothing. And that's why I think, and I feel very strongly, that the combination, of the vision of Musa and the capabilities of meCash, deliver a very formidable solution, to the continent's
situation, which is driving payments of the most important SMEs on the continent.